I love keyboard shortcuts. They just save me so much time when I'm editing my videos. And did you know Minvo has a whole slew of keyboard shortcuts to help save you time as well? Let's jump into Minvo and take a look at some of these keyboard shortcuts. So these first set of shortcuts are pretty standard across many platforms and editors. So if you want to start and stop the playback, you can just hit spacebar. So when I hit spacebar, the video starts playing. I hit spacebar again, the video stops. Next, there's a keyboard shortcut to save your progress. And yes, Minvo does autosave while you're in the editing process, but if you're a little antsy about whether or not the video is actually saving, you can hit Ctrl S or Command S on your keyboard, and you can see in the top corner it says saving, and we're saved. And when you hover over the last saved icon, you can click save, or it says Ctrl S to save. Next is the undo button. Let's say I'm in here and accidentally delete this emoji, and oh no, I didn't want to do that. Have no fear because Ctrl Z is here. Just hit Ctrl Z, then your emoji just pops right back up. And this works for more than just adding emojis back. If you make an edit and you just want to undo that, just hit Ctrl Z and you're right back to where you were. Next, you can toggle mute on and off. So you saw at the beginning of this video that when it was playing, there was no sound actually coming through. That's because I had the sound on mute. If I hit M on the keyboard, show. And that could be because of your show notes. Or we get our sound back, and then once again, toggle M, mutes the video again. Now, everyone knows editing longer videos are going to take longer time. There's just more footage to get through. But we can increase the playback speed of this video to get our edits in faster. So down in the timeline, there's this 1x button, and we can toggle the playback rate between 1, 1.5, 2, and then back to 0.5. So I'll put it back to 1. But you can also do this by clicking S on the keyboard. So as I click S, it cycles the playback speed until we're right back to 1. This for me is a huge time saver when editing videos and podcast episodes because the content is so long and it just takes so much time to get through all of that content. And it can even help speed up some of your short editing as well. So next we're going to look at some of the timeline specific keyboard shortcuts. So if I want to zoom in and out on my timeline, I can hit the plus and minus keys. So as I hit the minus keys, you can see it's incrementally jumping and zooming out. And likewise, if I hit plus, it's slowly and incrementally zooming in. But maybe you want to zoom all the way out and you don't want to hit the minus sign 100 times in order to get all the way out. You can just hold shift and click the minus sign and you're jumped all the way out. Likewise, if you hold shift and click the plus sign, you zoom all the way in. I, for one, am constantly zooming in and out of the timeline when I'm doing my edits, so this is a huge time saver for me personally. And while we're navigating the timeline, you'll notice if you hover down into the timeline section itself and you scroll on your mouse, you scroll up and down. This is obviously great if you have different elements like emojis and B-roll and titles and things like that that are going to be multiple tracks deep. But you can also scroll horizontally on the timeline as well. And to do that, you hold shift and use the scroll wheel. So now you can quickly scroll in between different sections of your video. When I figured this one out, this was actually a real game changer for me. It's so simple, but it saves me so much time editing. Next, if we want to create a cut or split in the timeline, we can come up over here and click split. But moving that mouse and hitting that little button is surprisingly time consuming. So rather than coming up and clicking that button, you can actually just come to where you want to split and hit Ctrl K on your keyboard. Just like that, the split is made. Ctrl K, Ctrl K, and Ctrl K. If you've watched any of my previous videos on this channel, you probably hear me saying Ctrl K a lot as I'm splitting because I do use that shortcut quite a bit. So now that we have all these splits and cuts in our timeline, we can actually quickly jump between each of those cuts that we've made. So by holding Control or Command and clicking any of the arrow keys, it'll actually jump us to the start of the next clip. So holding Control or Command and hitting the right key will jump us to the next clip in line. Then holding Command or Control and hitting left will jump us to the previous clip. Maybe you don't want to jump to the entire clip. Just using the arrow keys allows you to go frame by frame and move that playhead down the timeline. And lastly, maybe you want to jump to the beginning of the video. You can either click this button here, and it'll jump you all the way back to the start, or if you just click Enter on your keyboard, that will also take you to the start. Similarly, if you click the backslash key, that'll jump you all the way to the end of your timeline. And once again, this can be really handy if you're working with longer edits. Holding shift and scrolling through the timeline like this usually isn't too bad on a 1 to 2 minute clip, but you never know. You might need to use that enter or backslash key to quickly jump between the beginning and the end. So those are the keyboard shortcuts inside Minvo. It may take some time to get used to using them, but I promise you when you do get comfortable with them, it's going to save you a ton of time editing. But comment down below in this video, let me know what is your favorite keyboard shortcut that we talked about today. If this video was helpful, hit that like button for me real quick.